What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be talking about my job and experience working for the San Diego Padres during the 2020 spring training. It's something that kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I've gotten a lot of questions, whether it be in person, on Instagram, or on Twitter. So I'm kind of just here to share my experience, answer as most of the questions as I can, and just talk about it and share it with you guys. So I'll start with how I got the job. Basically, like I said before, it came out of nowhere. I remember I was walking to the gym with my friends to go play basketball when my mom shot me a text and said, "Hey, this guy on Facebook is asking for anyone in the metropolitan Phoenix area if they're available to work for the Padres this upcoming spring training, obviously having to meet certain criteria." And that guy was Brendan Keneally, who had graduated from Heritage well before I was even there. But he actually worked for the guy that hired me, but now Brendan is now in California working. So they needed people for spring training here in Arizona. So I got in contact with Brendan and just basically introduced myself. Told him I was a freshman at Arizona State University studying sports journalism, interested in the job that he posted on Facebook. And so then Brendan replied and actually recommended me to his boss, which would become my boss. And that's how I got in contact with him. That guy's name is Daryl Mendoza, who is my boss. He is the senior marketing and community entertainment or something with the San Diego Padres. Very powerful within their organization. Super cool guy who then I had a phone call with, talked over the job details. He told me I needed to come up with my resume and all the things, basic job things. So I sent that in, waited a couple of days, and I heard back, and they wanted to hire me, bring me on to the productions team, which I'll get into a little bit later, what my actual job description was. So then, yeah, I had a job with the Padres. And to answer kind of some of the questions, I wasn't working for them for the entire spring training. I was only there for 1 week before any of the games even started. I started on, I believe, a Sunday, and I went all the way until Friday when their first game was going to be that Saturday. So I was there for 1 week, and my hours were it was a 6 a.m. to a 9 a.m. shift. Then we have an hour break, and I'd go again from 10 p.m. anywhere to like 2 p.m. depending on the players' schedules and how fast we got everything done. So having to be there at 6 a.m., first of all, the San Diego Padres spring training facilities and complex is in Peoria, and I was living in Phoenix. That's about a 25-minute drive, right? And I didn't have a car. It was my freshman year in college. I didn't bring a car. So I have a job that's 25 minutes away, and I don't have a car. So I was like, okay, these Uber and Lyft fees are going to be starting to rack up. But I really didn't care because, one, the paycheck would cover it. It was pretty good pay. And two, it's all about the experience. I mean, I'm working for a Major League Baseball team. I don't care if I had to walk, right? So it definitely was some early mornings, and it was hard. It was very tiring for a week straight. I would have to wake up at about 5, sometimes even earlier, 4:45, to get ready, eat something. First day I'd eat something, and get a call an Uber, make sure I got there in time, make sure it got me there in time. And I had no idea where to actually go in the complex, so I had to get there really early the first day. And the first day I get there, I walk up to this big SD, palm trees glowing. It's like 6 in the morning, but it looks pretty nice out. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I walk in, past the receptionist, then I go into this room where we would kind of stay in between our jobs, which I'll get into a little bit later. And then I just immediately got thrown right into it. Because the first day I actually didn't come until 9 because they had the other 2 guys that were working from 6. So they put in the earpiece and just sit me right in, really not knowing what I was supposed to do. But one of my coworkers, Gray, trained me. And so basically what the job would be they would hand you a card with the player's name on it, their position, their number. And on the back of that card, there'd be 4 boxes. It'd be like location 1, location 2, location 3, location 4. Locations 1 and 2 were photo tent and video tent. And locations 3 and 4 3 was the green screen room, and 4 was a Fox interview. So for the big name players like Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, they would have all 4 boxes checked out. But for the guys who were maybe not going to make the MLB team, they were just kind of invited up to the big league camp, or guys that weren't like huge names, they would just have boxes 1 and 2 checked out. So you'd have to take them to the photo and to the video. You would stand outside of the clubhouse, which would be in between the clubhouse is here and the cafeteria is here. You would get the card and wait outside for the player to come out. The player would come out of the clubhouse, and then you just walk them to the first location. While the whole time, since the schedules are all crazy, you'd have a radio. So if I was supposed to go to location 1 first, but my boss Daryl would be like, Tyler, they're backed up at photo, need to take you to video, we would just go to the video location 2 first. Blah, 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 blah. So it's a lot of just, I literally would just walk the players around. And I got to meet pretty much every single player on the roster throughout my week with the Padres, and it was really cool. So another one of the questions I got was, who was your favorite player to be around and why? And kind of just a lot of questions about the personalities of each player. So I'll start it with one of my favorite guys to be around, just because he made me feel like a buddy, like a friend, and that was pretty cool, was Franchy Cordero, outfielder for the Padres. And first off, I didn't even know if he spoke English, because a lot of the guys on the Padres team are Latino, and just a lot of Spanish speaking going around through that locker room and clubhouse. So once I first got Franchy, he was speaking Spanish to one of his teammates from across the hall in the cafeteria. So I was like, okay, I don't even know if he speaks any English. But so I decided to try to speak the little Spanish I knew, which is actually really cool. I was speaking Spanish to an MLB player, which is cool. So as we were walking through the parking lot, I was just having that, hola, ¿cómo estás conversation, very dry. And then there's a bunch of cool cars in the parking lot. I mean, as you can imagine, I'll get into that a little bit later. But I mean, just everywhere you look, there's a Bentley, a bunch of different cool cars. But Franchy was actually like, he pointed to, I think it was like a really nice Dodge Charger. He's like, is that your car? And I was like, oh, no tiene un coche. I don't have a car. And he goes, what? And then in Spanish, I explained, like, yeah, I go to school here. I have a car back home, but I didn't bring a car to school, which was really cool. And I had the whole conversation in Spanish as we were walking to the tent. And so that was like the first interaction I kind of had with him off the bat. And then when I was taking him from his photo shoot to his video shoot, we kind of talked more in English and Spanish, blah, blah, blah. And then when I was done with him and I was working with other guys, if I ever saw him coming in and out of the clubhouse, he'd always give me like a fist bump or always like nod his head, like say what's up. So that was really cool. Franchy Cordero, really nice guy. Number 33, I believe, for the Padres. That was one of the coolest guys I got to be around. Another one of the coolest guys, I kind of have 3, so I'll go in spurts as I go throughout the story. But I'll just say, off the bat, off of just perception, I never met this guy. Just from what I saw him walking out of his truck to the clubhouse or walking through the cafeteria, I'm talking about Chris Paddock, starting pitcher for the Padres. He just kind of had this persona of, I'm in the zone, don't talk to me, like, let me just get my job done and go, which is completely understandable, especially as a major league player, especially as a good up-and-coming MLB player. Like, I get that. So at the beginning, I was kind of hesitant to approach Chris Paddock because I didn't want to rub him the wrong way. And he is one of the big-name guys, so he didn't go until later in days like 4 and 5. So I didn't actually have him as a player card walking around. But I'll get into him later. He actually turned out to be obviously one of my top 3 favorite players to be around. Really cool guy, down to earth. But then the third guy, Austin Hedges, the catcher for the Padres. I mean, this guy was just full of energy, always had a smile on his face, no matter what. And that's really hard to do. It sounds weird, but I mean, these guys are practicing all day long, training all day long until they get to their photo shoot, their video shoot, their interviews. For me, one of the huge takeaways was really how players perceive the media. I mean, I've always been on like the media side of the things, but I kind of got to see firsthand like how the players perceive the media and all of the stuff. A lot of them get tired and just want to finish it and get out of there and get done. Like they'll do it, but they're not really happy to do it. Like they're just like, okay, this is part of my job. I have to do it. But man, Austin Hedges was completely just like ready to do whatever. Always had the big smile on his face. It just seemed like an energetic kid to me. Like if you strip away the baseball uniform from me, he would be like a really cool dude. And so I'll get into him a little bit more later. He brought his dog. That was really cool. He told me he just got married in the off season, and basically told me his whole story of his wedding. It was really cool. But so those are the top 3 guys. I'll talk about them a little bit more each later down the road. But back to my actual job. So, like I said, the clubhouse was here. The cafeteria was here. I didn't know we got fed. So every morning we got breakfast, and then in our breaks we got lunch. We got fed good. I mean, this is Major League Baseball. Coaches, players, staff. This is the food they're eating. They have professional chefs in the kitchen. So I thought I was gonna be starving all day long. I brought like a single protein bar or something, but no, I was sad. I mean, I'm having eggs, I'm having sausage, I'm having yogurt, parfait, like anything I want was basically in the cafeteria. So I was set. I was scarfing down the food the quick 10 minutes I got to eat before I had to go start running players around. So that was really cool. And getting more into what the actual like photo booth or video booth looked like. So you walk outside, it's in the parking lot, like excluded from all the cars, and it's these big white tents. And inside of the video booth, they had a bunch of lights going up. And they could change the lights digitally for whatever color they want, whatever like pattern scheme they wanted. And it was really cool to see like the behind the scenes of some of the finished products, which I'll put up on the screen. But I mean, basically, from my understanding, all these pictures and videos that they're taking will be stuff that they use throughout the season. Anytime there's like a promotional thing for the TV channel, like in between innings or something like that, this is what will be on the screen. I believe the pictures and things on the Jumbotron, when they come up to bat, and like in between innings, that will be on the screen. Anything on social media they put, that's what is produced from what I made. So my actual job description, like my job title, was productions team assistant. So the productions team are the actual people who work for the Padres all year long, and I was like an assistant to them. There was 4 or 5 of us, the assistants, and all of the other assistants, the guys like me, like the interns, they were all juniors and seniors. I was the only freshman, so that was really cool. There was a senior from University of Arizona, a senior from Grand Canyon University, someone who already graduated from UCLA, and then the other, I believe, was a junior at Arizona State as well. So, I mean, it was a mix of guys and girls. There's 2 guys and 3 girls that worked kind of throughout the process, which was really cool. So walking into that video tent was really, really amazing, actually, to see all the different lights. And that's where, I mean, guys like Machado and Tatis and Eric Hosmer and Tommy Pham, I mean, these guys would spend at least 40 minutes in the video tent alone, going through all, bat on their shoulder, bat like this, chewing gum, taking ground balls. Pitchers would be in their motion. I mean, they had Chris Paddock screaming at the top of his lungs. Let's go, baby! For I don't know how long, just because, I mean, he's an energetic guy. Paddock also recently got a new tattoo right here on his forearm. So they had a lot of angles and just, ball and glove like this, showing off the sweet-looking tattoo that'll scare some batters off there on the mound. But, yeah, some of the other guys, like I mentioned before, weren't super apt to the media. Didn't really want to be there. I would say the biggest guy that I literally never could not connect to, but have a decent conversation would be Tommy Pham. I don't know what it is about his persona or anything, but the first conversation I had with Tommy Pham, I had his player card and I was walking him to the green screen first, actually. And I was like, every time I would approach a player, I would try to have a different kind of conversation. I would probably always also ask about the off season because they're just coming off that, but I didn't want it to be awkward just walking with him. So I was just asking questions. And for Tommy, I knew he spent his he was on two other teams previously. I knew he was with the Rays last year, and he was drafted by the Cardinals. So he'd always been like kind of on the East Coast, never had been to the West Coast for baseball. So I was like, "How do you like the West Coast so far?" And Tommy goes, "I was born here," and that was it. I was like, "Okay." Next question. Let's think. I was like, "You itching to get back onto the field? Like, are you excited?" And he goes, "My bat's not ready." I was like, "Okay, so this is awkward. Can we get to the green screen room fast enough?" And then eventually we did, and luckily, I mean, it was just weird. Like, obviously, he wants to get his job done. Like, that's it. That's cool. But I mean, I got a question like, who were some of the guys that were most difficult to deal with? I would say Tommy was one of them. But later on, he was really cool. Actually, I had a cool conversation about him when the puppies came in. They had like a photo shoot with puppies for like Petco Park, obviously. And he was like, man, like my day's pretty cool. Got to play with some puppies downstairs, so we're doing all right now. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Um, but yeah, biggest personality in the locker room. There's not really a question. It's Fernando Tatis. I mean, this guy, anywhere he goes, any room he walks in, everyone is just like yelling at him, like, "Hey, Tatis!" A lot of the Spanish speakers. I mean, I don't really completely know what they're talking about, but I mean, they're screaming at him. He's screaming at them. It feels like he has a connection with everyone in that organization, whether it just be like a productions member or someone in the front office. I mean, when he walked by, he'd always dap him up, talk to him. So Tatis was a really cool guy. Um, Obviously a stud himself, but a funny thing about him was we were waiting to get into the green screen room, and he was on WhatsApp on his phone with his dad. So he's just having a conversation with his dad as we wait to get inside the green screen room, which was pretty funny. I remember he was sitting on the floor, and I think he took his shoes off. He was barefoot because his feet hurt from like practice or something. So that was pretty funny. But another guy. Okay, so Machado. Obviously, you guys talking about Manny Machado. If I'm talking about the San Diego Padres. The first time I saw Machado was actually inside the cafeteria, and I saw him kind of like from the side. And this might sound weird, but the first thing I noticed about him was the size of his neck. Like, it was just like massive. And then I was like, okay, like when you see him on TV, he seems like a pretty big guy, but like not like super big. I mean, I'm 6'2", 180, and I walked up next to him. I felt like Kevin Hart when he's standing next to Shaquille O'Neal. Like, it was just, he was a massive. His shoulders, his back, just everything. I mean, this guy is absolutely jacked in terms of just his build. So that was interesting to see, kind of like in person, walking up to him. But Machado, I mean, if we're gonna talk about the cars in the parking lot, there's only one guy. Like, Manny Machado drives this like custom all black, all like tinted Rolls Royce, and there's like parking spots, but he doesn't care. Like, he just whips in. He always comes a little bit later than everyone else, and he'll just park like right next to like a red curb. So like, here's parking spots, this row, and he just parks like right here, like slanted, like does not care. Every single day he did that, and I was like, damn, like he's the man. Like, no one can tell him to move. Like, this is their facility. This is pretty much his team. He's gonna park there. I saw him get into his car one day. It's not the other day. I was walking him out. He opened the door, all black. Like, you literally can't see anything, all black. Opens the door and just bright orange leather seats. Like I was like, wow. Pretty nice Rolls Royce. Definitely has the best car on the team. Don't know how much it costs. Probably a lot. But yeah. So then we're gonna go. I've talked about a little bit about the video location. The photo location was just pretty sure they had a yellow background and a white background. They're just taking still photos, but they'd have multiple like uniform changes. The Padres just got new uniforms. They look super sweet in person. So they would go from just their normal pinstripes into the two like digital camo uniforms. So there was the green one and the brown one. and they have to switch their pants too from the pinstripes to just the one pipe down on the side. So that was really cool. I actually got to like be right there with the new jerseys, like the jerseys that the player wears, and hand to them when they change. And I also got to meet the guy who designed the jerseys, like the actual guy who literally designed the new Padres jerseys. That's a crazy story in itself. I was just sitting there. I think I was waiting for Jurickson Profar to finish up. I was just standing outside the tent, and this guy who I hadn't seen before, this was like day 3, and I'd pretty much seen everyone who'd worked for the team by that point. He was just standing there having a conversation with one of the ladies who helps the players with the uniforms and everything. And he actually approached me. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, hi, I'm just working here." And he goes, I forget how the conversation even struck up, but basically he was like, "Yeah, like I designed these jerseys." And I was like, "You designed these jerseys?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he starts telling me all like literally how he designed it and came up with the idea. Obviously, they kept the old Friar, the old Padre logo, but like talking about I don't even know. I literally can't explain the words he was using to describe it, but like the digital camo and everything. And then he handed me his business card. His name was Brian, I'm pretty sure. He handed me his business card and basically told me he works for like the Braves, the Padres, a bunch of different teams. And I was just like, wow, like this. Like, I can't even imagine trying to design a jersey. And so I was like, just by the way, dude, like, how does it feel when you see like your work on like someone like on the field? And he goes, it's amazing. There's no better feeling in the world. And the unis are pretty sweet. So shout out to Brian. He did a good job. Padres fans, better go get some new jerseys because they're pretty sweet. But yeah, so that was the photo tent. And so I've talked about locations 1 and 2. Then the Fox interview, which was location 4, you have to go back inside, past the clubhouse, past the cafeteria, past the receptionist, up these stairs. That's where the front office was. So like the GM, the general manager, the owner was up there. And the Fox interview would be on the side. And so that was really cool, to be honest. I was able to sit behind a Fox interview. So what that entails was the player would sit down, they'd have like all the lights, all the cameras, the guy sitting like at a side, legs all crossed, stuff like that. But they would ask just questions, and I'm pretty sure these interviews will obviously be on Fox, like whenever they're playing on the channel. So that was actually really cool as someone who is going into the field of journalism and going into the field of broadcast and potentially always trying to interview people to see like a professionals at Fox do it and how they organized and constructed theirs. That was cool in itself. And then the green screen location 3 was downstairs, and that's just where like special effects, I guess, happened or whatever. They can put obviously whatever they want on the background because it's a green screen. That's where they had the puppies come in the last day for the Petco Park promotion shoot. And literally, I've never seen all the players more happy than when the puppies came in. And I'm being completely honest. I told you, Tommy Pham, that was the only time he had like a smile on his face when he was talking to me, is when those puppies came in. And some of the guys actually brought their own dogs in. So Kirby Yates brought his dog in. His name was Chubb. Pretty cool dog. Kirby Yates, I haven't even talked about him. I'll talk about him a little bit. Austin Hedges brought in his dog and his newly married wife. I'm sure others did, but those are the only people I saw walking with their dogs upstairs on the last day. But yeah, so Kirby Yates, this is actually a little funny story. I had no idea who he was. Like all my coworkers were like, I can't wait till Kirby gets here. Like, can't wait to see him. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm like baseball is my favorite sport. I love baseball. I've never heard of Kirby Yates. This is weird. Turns out he's like one of the best closers in the game. Like one of the best closers in the MLB, and I had no idea who he was. And so I got his player card. I got to talk to him. He looks like an average dude. Like I swear, I would not know who he was, but he was pretty cool. Very mellow, very very mellow. Just did his business. It was cordial with us, but yeah, I mean the best way to describe Kirby Yates is just literally a regular dude. It was super cool though. I mean, the whole experience was fantastic. I believe another one of the questions I got was, what's the biggest thing I learned throughout my process, throughout my time working for the Padres? The biggest thing I learned when I was there would have to be just the perception and understanding, like firsthand understanding of players and media. Because like I said before, I've always only been on the media side, looking at the media side. And whenever you see like a cocky or arrogant or just short like athlete who just doesn't want to answer the questions, like you just think like, wow, like they're jerks, blah, blah, blah. But I was able to shift and basically see from the player side their perception of the media. Because when I was working that job, I really wasn't with the media. I was with the productions team. So I would see them when they would go to the media, and I would be kind of more on their side. And that was just kind of eye-opening in itself, and the fact that the media and the players kind of have this mutual contract of they're both trying to get their job done. The players have to do this. The media has to do this, but kind of wants to do this. And so they just kind of meet in the middle. Kind of complicated. A lot of people won't understand, but as a guy who's trying to get into that field, it was very eye-opening for me and my process and myself. Another funny story, actually. So I remember I mentioned before how I had to Lyft and Uber to the facility because I didn't have a car. That actually was only for, I think, 1 or 2 days, because my coworker who goes to GCU, which is Grand Canyon University in Phoenix as well, he had a car. So I ended up only having to Uber to GCU, and from there he would drive me to the facility and then drive me back to GCU, and I'd just have to Uber back. So I mean, my Uber rates were cut literally more than half. That was amazing. Shout out to Elijah. Thank you, sir, for that. Appreciate that a lot. But a funny story about me not having a car. So Daryl, my boss, had asked me to. We did not do any like intern stuff, like get coffee, anything like that. Like this was like the only time this ever happened. He asked me if I would go get him a Bang energy drink from the Circle K, which was, in his words, like a half mile down the block. So I was like, yeah. And I thought it was a lot closer than it was, but I'm pretty sure he thought I had a car. Because like, why would I not have a car? I had to drive there every day. But basically, he needed a Bang energy drink because he was about to go get a workout in with the players in the weight room. So I was like, yeah, I'll get you a Bang, Daryl. Just give me a second. So I start walking, Google mapping where the heck this Circle K is. A half a mile away from the facility, and I don't have a car. So I'm literally in my like dress shoes, slacks, and like my polo or my long sleeve collared shirt. And I just start walking and hoping I'll find anything. But the complex is, like, the facility is here, and the complex, like the main like entrance, is all the way up here. So just across the parking lot itself is about 3 football fields. Like the parking lot is massive. That's like the general parking lot, not the players' parking lot. But so I got to walk through that. Then I got to pass like a La Quinta Inn, like a hotel, and then I'm on the main street. And then after I'm on the main street, then it's like another 0.3 miles to the actual Circle K. So I'm just walking, and I look at the clock, and he said he's working out at 11, and it's like, I think he sent me at like 10:43. So I'm walking, then I look, and it's like 10:49. I'm like, damn, I got 11 minutes to get back with this Bang so I don't disappoint my boss. And then I see what I thought is a Circle K. So I legit, and I'm not lying, I am running. I am jogging, running in my dress shoes and everything. I probably look like some guy who just like accomplished a heist, like literally full business clothes, running. I cut across the street. I'm standing on the median. I'm literally playing Frogger, waiting for these cars to pass. Cross there, run in to the Circle K, get the Bang with the money he gave me, and then it's like 10:53, 10:54. I am sprinting back, literally sprinting with the Bang in my hand, just trying to get there. Then he texts me. He's like, yo, Tyler, like, no problem. If you can't find it, just come back. Like, I don't really need it. I'm like, nah, man, Daryl, I got you with this Bang. And so I'm running across the parking lot. I give him his Bang, and I'm just sweating profusely. I literally never told anyone that. My mom doesn't even know that. Like, my best friends don't know that. But I sprinted in a full, like, business outfit to get a Bang for my boss. That's a funny story. Daryl, I hope your workout went well. He said it did, so that's awesome. That was pretty much like my big experience with the Padres. Uh, it was only supposed to be for till that Thursday, I'm pretty sure. But then on that Friday, I was in my Uber back on the Thursday, and I got a call from Daryl, and he was like, "Yo, we're having one more day. Um, we're only calling 3 of you guys back because we just need the best people. This is very important. We have to be on schedule. We'll give you a raise for just this day." So I ended up having to go back on that Friday at 6 a.m. It was like the USA Today photo shoot. So literally every player and every coach was shot in this photo shoot. So we were up where like the Fox interview was, up the stairs, and my job was literally walking the long. There's a long hallway. There's a long hallway. I literally just walked the players all the way down the hallway, show them where the photo shoot was, and I walked all the way back. And I did that probably for 92% of the roster for the Padres and all the coaches. So that was really cool. We had this paper, and it was mapped out by every 15 minutes. There was like 5 or 6 guys who would go, starting with, it's weird to say, but like starting with like the least like recognizable or least important, and then like the 5 guys that like the last 15-minute slot were Machado, Hosmer, Paddock, Yates, Tatis, and I think Will Myers, because I remember Tommy Pham wasn't in the last 15. I don't know. It was weird. I feel like there's a weird chip on Pham's shoulder because he's not like the number 1 player, like not even number 2, like, debatably not even number 3, like on the team. He's always been like top guy. So for some weird reason, I just have a feeling that he kind of feels like the middle child of the Padres. If that makes any sense at all, I don't know. Who knows? And one more funny story before I wrap this up was when we were waiting up there for the players, there was a TV in the loft, and it was on MLB Network, and they were talking about the possibility of Will Myers being traded. It was like, where will Will Myers land? And Myers on the schedule was projected to come up in about 5 minutes, and I was like, I wonder if we should like change the channel or something, because I don't think that when he walks up there, he should just see his name on the screen saying like he's about to be traded. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like why would Will Myers? Anywho, that's a funny story. MLB Network, Will Myers trade headlines when he was about to come up the stairs. He ended up not coming up like for another 10 minutes, so that passed. But I just thought that was very interesting to see like what would happen if he walked up, looked at the TV, and was like, "Oh, cool, I'm about to be traded. Let me go take a photo shoot." Another thing on MLB Network was, which is funny, just another testament to how Tatis is like the biggest personality and funny guy on the team. There was a Manny Machado interview on MLB Network. Actually, the interview happened, I believe, yesterday. I saw the guys on the field interviewing him. And it was him talking about how pitchers still fear him or something like that. Like that was like the headline. And he was talking about, yeah, like pitchers still got to fear me. Like I'm still going to hit the ball out of the park, something like that. And Tatis walks by and looks at that and goes, "There goes Manny again, talking about blah, blah, blah." It was just like really loud, really funny. Probably sounds weird me saying it, but bottom line, takeaway, Fernando Tatis, he's a clown. He's funny. One of the coolest guys that I got to be around. But yeah, I mean, the experience in itself was 1 week before any of the games even started. So I can't tell you what they were like during the games. Really cool. Great opportunity. I'm glad I got to be a part of it. I hope that, these coming years, if there's spring training, there has to be spring training, but it's weird time. No one knows. I'm able to go back and do it again. I want to thank you all for listening to my experience and for asking all these questions. I hope I was able to answer a majority of them. But if not, shoot me a message, comment, shoot me a DM, text me. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.